I'm going to use this heart as the basis to show you how to use the pen tool. I know there are heart shapes and all kinds of things that you can access. The reason I like to use the heart just to show you how the pen tool works is it's very straightforward. There are linear lines and there are curved lines, sometimes called Bezier. Over here in the toolbar, here's the pen tool. See here, and there's all kinds of pen tool choices. Really, the ones you're going to use the most, you're going to use the convert point tool. There are keyboard shortcuts. I'm not going to go over those right now. But instead of the minus and plus adding points and deleting points, you can just leave the pen tool on auto add delete. And I'll show you how that works in a moment. It's not a bad idea to start at a vertices, like here, vertex vertices, or here. I'm going to start right here. Click. Notice a point is dropped. Then I'm going to click and drag in the direction I'm drawing. And notice these handles that are being pulled out. These are what make the curves. These handles can also be broken in half to give you more control, and I'll do that in a moment. You don't need too many, and you can always add points or take away points. That's the beauty. Once you get comfortable with the pen tool, you'll see how great the editing capabilities are. I'm going to stop for a moment because I want you to also look at the paths menu. Here's paths, and if you notice it's starting to draw a path. I'm going to go to the flyout menu, panel options, and make this nice and big so you can see what's happening. Okay, now I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to click. That's a linear point because I didn't drag. I'm going to click here. That's also linear, far from perfect, and we'll probably edit it. I'm going to click here, and this time I'm going to drag in the direction I'm going. I try to keep the handles as small as possible, but that's not always doable. I'm going to click here, and you'll notice in the Paths panel, it's getting bigger. So I'm just going to go like that. I'm going to have to fix this in here. And then, like most things in Photoshop, you want to end where you started, and there's the little circle. So far from perfect, you can see this heart. The path will save with the file. It's very small. I'm going to click Save Path. I'm going to call it Heart, if I could spell. H-E-R-T, heart shape. And now we're going to edit it. And I want to show you the powerfulness of the pen tool. If I go over an area that doesn't have a point, notice because I'm in auto add delete, a point will add. And there's a point. Whenever you add a point, it's always Bezier. It's never linear. And I'll show you the difference. Watch here. The other 2 or 3 tools that you use, the black arrow will move the entire selection. I prefer direct selection. That's the white arrow. Sometimes I click off and then click back on the area I know I want to be in, because notice the point is filled here, but not in the others. So if I pull this up, then I'm getting closer to the right direction. I want to show you also let's go to the convert tool. This is what the convert tool does. It only goes from linear to curved and back again. So just to show you what it does, I want to show you if I turn this into a linear point, see how it makes it straight line to and from the point. I don't really need to do that, so I'm going to click it one more time. And you want to make sure you're not all like this. So sometimes it's really easy to get out of whack. So here is, I'm going to get this as close as possible, but it looks to me like it'd be a good idea to break these handles and have a little more control. So I'm going to hold the Option key and click here. See how I've got now separate seesaw ends. Now I'm back in the convert tool, so I'm going to go back to the white arrow because the convert tool can actually get you into a little bit of trouble. So you may want to make sure you're in the white arrow when you go to move things around. See, this is not so great here. If I want to delete a point, there's another thing you can do. I'm going to go back to the pen tool, and I'm going to delete this point. See, so you can delete or add a point. You click on a point to delete it. You click on an area that doesn't have a point to add it. I'm going to undo that so it goes back because that was a pretty decent point. But I do need to add a point here. And now I want to go to the white arrow, pull this out. And you're doing all of this to make a much more precise selection. So here I can see, this is a linear point. It seems like it should be a Bezier or curved point. So I'm going to go back to the pen tool, get the convert, and drag. Make sure I drag in the right direction. And then I'm going to let go. I still have the convert, so I can actually break the handles with the convert tool. I didn't even have to hold the option key, so that might be a new feature in 2019. I don't know. Or maybe I just didn't know it. Who knows? I'm going to go back to the arrow. I'm going to move this, oops, there. I'm going to move this here. Now I have a little bit of area here that looks like it could use some help. And I might try to, let's see, if I go back to convert and then just grab this, so now they're broken and I can move the handles independently. That's not too bad. I want to make sure I'm back in the white arrow now and move this over a tiny bit. Move this over. So then you can start to see how much power you have in editing points, taking away and adding points to a shape. And there's the heart. What you may not have noticed is as I was making all these changes, this was automatically updating. The beauty of the pen tool, okay, so let's say we go to here and go File, Save As, and I'm going to put it in my ADG Workshop Imagery. That's my workshop. And let's see, stock imagery, screen grabs, class artwork. So I'm just going to do heart. I'm going to call it heart pen. Okay. And it's still a JPEG, which is interesting, but it won't be in a minute. Oops. Once I make a copy of this, as soon as you have a layer, looks like I should break that handle too. You can break it by holding the option key also. You can still do that. I have to make this into marching ants to do anything else. Like everything in Photoshop, if you want to do something, you want to copy it, color it, make it into a stencil, you must make it into marching ants. Down here at the bottom of the Paths panel, it says Load Path as a Selection. And there it is, marching ants. I have to go back to Layers, do a Command J, Layer via Copy, turn off the visibility of the one below it. You see we've got no background, we've got the checkerboard. And here's another little trick I'll show you before I finish with the pen. I'm not totally finished because I'm going to show you vector shapes next. But there's a little trick. There are all these locks up here. You can lock a layer, but you can also do something called preserve transparency. Lock transparent pixels. So if I do that, since this is on a transparent layer, let's say I want to make it a cyan blue. I just pick cyan out of the rainbow and notice it's here. I'm going to go to Edit, Fill. I'm not in foreground color, so I'm going to go to foreground color, click OK. And now it protected all of the transparent pixels, so you didn't have to bring back the marching ants or anything. Now, one thing you want to remember is to undo preserve transparency, because if you forget and then you go in and start trying to paint around the heart on that layer, it won't let you. So let me show you again. Preserve transparency. I'll just get the other color, which is a lavender, and I'll get a brush. And we also want to go over the brush. See, the only place it'll paint is inside the heart, because the transparent pixels are being protected. So I just wanted to make sure I showed you that. I am now going to save this. It's going to come up again because now it's a Photoshop layer because it has layers. I'm going to save it, and that's the start of the pen tool.